Ryan Fleming can help you chart out a course for your retirement with his intimate knowledge of financial planning and the airline industry. It's time for the Pilot's Advisor.
Are you a risk taker? Well, there's a good chance you're a pilot if you're listening to the Pilot's Advisor podcast. And I think most pilots, I would kind of just put you guys in that category of risk taker, Ryan. I don't know. So I'm going to assume the answer to this question might be a little bit of a yes. However, even among you guys, I got to imagine there's still some differences between how much risk you truly want to take, and does that maybe change a little bit if we're not talking about flying planes hundreds of miles an hour through thin air at 30,000 feet versus maybe dealing with our finances and our lifetime savings and those kinds of things. So on today's show, we're going to talk about how you can see if your risk tolerance, your tolerance for risk, how it matches your plan, what to do if the balance is out of whack. Walter Storholt here with Ryan Fleming, your financial advisor at Retire Pilots, serving you all across the world and joining us from his FedEx plane. Great to chat with you again, Ryan, and looking forward to today's conversation.
Walter, I am always excited to talk to you. I mean, I'm telling you what, I can't think of anything else or any other place I'd rather be right now than talking to Walter Storholt.
There you go. That's fantastic. All right, well, let's take a look at this whole conversation about risk, Ryan, and see if that balance gets out of whack. What can we do? What if you're a natural risk taker? Should you take more risk then with your finances as well to match your personality? Want to look at this thing from all angles. So let's break it down. Out of curiosity, what percentage of your clients would you say consider themselves to be comfortable with risk, and what percentage would you say would be more on the end of the scale of being risk averse?
Well, I think that's a great question. And right now, in the current market conditions with, 2022, the market's down anywhere from 20 to 30% if you have most of your money in equities. So we're truly finding out what somebody's true risk tolerance is. I think pilots are very good at managing risk, or in their previous lives, if they're military pilots, they were risk takers and didn't mind you doing the young man's game and serving our country. For all of you pilots out there that did serve in the military, I want to thank you guys for your service. I'm about to hang up the spurs on my military career, and it's kind of sad after doing it for so many years, but, it's time to move on. But back to percentages, I think most pilots are more risk adverse than the average population, but I think it has a lot more to do with your time horizon for your money. I think as you get closer to retirement and weighing in whether you have a pension or not can determine how much you should pull the throttles back. It's not age related. It's your time horizon for that money. But I'm finding that when you have market volatility on the negative side, some individuals realize they're not as risk adverse as they thought they were.
So often it does not match how they're feeling about their risk. Is that pretty commonplace, you'd say?
Well, I think that people want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want to be risky enough to get all of the upside, but none of the downside. And unfortunately, markets don't work that way. And when we build out a portfolio, if you're a little bit more risk adverse, that portfolio is going to have a larger standard deviation. And if you don't understand what standard deviation is, then we need to have a meeting and talk about it. And what that's going to tell you is how risky your portfolio is, meaning your range of returns. We can tell you exactly what those range of returns are going to be based off of that standard deviation of the portfolio that's engineered for you.
That's helpful to get kind of that landscape and understanding, Ryan. So why do so many people take unnecessary risks with their retirement money if often they're kind of, out of match?
Well, I think ultimately it comes down to greed. I mean, people want their money to make 14% every single year, but anytime we invest, investing is risk. You're putting your money at risk, and you got to understand just the rules of the game. I mean, the market on average is going to be up 2 out of every 3 years or 3 out of every 4 years, depending on what you look at. But somewhere in between there, you're going to have down years. And I think it's very unhealthy to not realize that it's not linear. It's not going to be an 8% return every single year. You're going to have fluctuations and volatility in the market. Some years you're going to be up 20%. Some years are going to be down 20%. But on average, that's what we're looking for, is an average return, and understanding your risk tolerance and talking about with that portfolio, the upside and the downside, what it's going to be is a healthy conversation to have with all your clients so they truly understand the risk that they're taking.
Hey, if you're ready to have clarity and thrive in your retirement, you're in the right place, and I've got another resource for you to check out. Go to retirepilots.com and look right there on the homepage. You'll be able to click Get My Free Toolkit. What this is going to do is help you get for free Ryan's Retirement Toolkit. This is going to include his 2 books, The Pilot's Advisor and Pilots Retire Early, revealing the 9 critical decisions when retiring and the 7 lessons to save your retirement. Not only does it include the books, but lots of other goodies packed into this free toolkit that'll be sent to you ASAP. It's a great starting place for any pilot to begin their retirement journey. Go to retirepilots.com. All right, so if somebody needs to understand the risk that they're taking, Ryan, how can they tell? I mean, how can they go about whether seeing, first of all, what risk am I comfortable with? And then 2, it's kind of a 2-part question, right? Is my portfolio matching that risk level?
Well, if you're having a lot of issues with what your current returns are in your portfolio, you might not be matched for your risk tolerance. What I like to do, if you go to retirepilots.com on our website, you can actually go and take a risk tolerance questionnaire. I think it's important to test yourself, at least once a year, because sometimes our risk tolerances change as we get older or get closer to retirement. So that's one way to check it out, is actually take a test on your risk tolerance. And if it seems out of whack for what your current portfolio is, we need to make some adjustments and probably rebalance that account. Another way is when I build a portfolio for someone, we start talking about the standard deviation and what their range of returns could be on the positive side and on the negative side. And we used to actually hand out cards that say, I've decided that this is the portfolio that I want to invest in. And so if the market is down X number of points next year, don't call me. Basically trying to get them to truly visualize what the range of their returns could be, and to internalize that if their market is down this much, that's the risk tolerance and portfolio they've decided to put their money in.
Well, as we talk about this conversation about risk and our tolerance for risk, is there a way to significantly reduce portfolio risk without also reducing the opportunities for growth? Because that is what the ultimate trade-off ends up being.
Well, there's many ways to do that. I mean, diversification is going to help with that. We also want to look at consistency of returns, especially in retirement when we're pulling income from that portfolio. And I have a whole piece on my website, or you can reach out to me, and it's talking about the difference between Iceman and Maverick and the math of retirement, which I think a lot of investors probably don't understand. And what it's talking about is you can actually have a lower rate of return in retirement, but be in a much better position by having consistent returns versus returns that are all over the map. And I think it's an important lesson to learn the math of retirement.
That's good points there, Ryan. And I guess maybe to kind of put a bow on this conversation, how can somebody know how much financial risk is then appropriate for their situation, and what does the process look like when working with you to determine all of that?
Well, I think we kind of hit on it before, is actually taking a test to find out your risk tolerance, discussing the range of returns that could be there, and how you truly feel about it if it does happen. And I think right now there's many people that are having to look in the mirror and truly, internalize or realize when you have a down market like we're experiencing in 2022, what your true risk tolerance is. And it's not only upside potential, but it's downside volatility. And it's funny, being an advisor, I mean, this is the time where I have to talk a lot of people off the ledge and make sure they don't make emotional decisions that can hurt them with their portfolio in their future. But people don't tend to focus on the downside. They focus on the upside, and then they have trouble when there's downside volatility. Volatility is something that's going to give us return in the markets. I mean, volatility is just a part of the game. But nobody ever calls me when we have a lot of upside volatility, and it's weird. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's only when things are bad people start to, it's that panic, that fear kicks in, and people need to make decisions more quickly rather than when life is good. We tend to procrastinate maybe a little bit.
Well, it's the constant battle between greed and fear, and it's just human nature. I don't hold it against anyone, but making emotional decisions with our portfolio and our financial future is definitely something that we can't do. There's never a good time to panic. And I'd like to end the show just telling you something that's always been said out there. And I can't predict the future. I don't know if the next 20% is going to be up or down. I can't control the market. We can only control your exposure to the market. But I like to end it with the next 100% is going to be up. And the reason why is it always is. And that's just the way the rules of the game. And we've never had a down market that it hasn't recovered. It's just a matter of when. So for all our listeners out there, don't make emotional decisions with your portfolio and just take a deep breath and just wait it out. And everything is going to turn out okay. You will be okay.
If you want to get in touch and have conversations like this with Ryan, look at your particular financial situation and get a review of your plan, call or text him at 843-475-3038. That's 843-475-3038. Or you can go online to retirepilots.com. That's retirepilots.com and get in touch through the website as well. Lots of ways to touch base, and you can also find the contact info in the description of today's show. Ryan, thanks for the help, and we'll talk to you all again on the next episode. Appreciate it.
Walter, I cannot wait to talk to you again. You have a wonderful day.
All right, sounds good. That's Ryan. I'm Walter. We'll see you next time on The Pilot's Advisor.
Sayonara.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.